A major announcement today from the federal government, which is that the majority of Australian troops are going to come home from Afghanistan and they'll be home by Christmas. We're going to be closing our base in Tarin Kot, and this is because the mission is, in the words of the Defence Minister, effectively over. Now, effectively over in terms of the mission that was supposed to be holding the hands of the Afghan Defence Forces. There is a belief now that they will be able to hold on to that part of southern Afghanistan. It'll be fascinating to see if that's actually the case, and my long-held belief is that as soon as the coalition forces leave in greater numbers from Afghanistan, the bloodshed is going to be pretty obvious as the Taliban decides to come back and exact revenge. Now, you know that we've spoken a lot about our role in Afghanistan on this program and in many other forums. I don't think there's a person who's watching a program like this who isn't moved by the valour of the many people who have won Victoria Crosses for their efforts in Afghanistan, or also moved to tears by the scenes of families that have been destroyed forever because of the losses in Afghanistan. But there is also an opportunity for us to do the right thing, and that is bring home the locals who helped us. The government has promised to do that, the opposition has promised to do that, and we'll make sure we keep an eye on that. So there's one piece of the puzzle that remains to make sure that the right thing happens here. In previous years and in previous conflicts, Australia has not dealt well with the people who are coming home from these conflicts. And there are some people that I know inside the Defence Forces who believe that they sit more awkwardly among the wider defence family with potentially older veterans than, say, those who had fought previous wars. This is because there is a view in the community that somehow the war efforts of people in Afghanistan or Iraq are somehow no less horrible than what happened in Vietnam or the Second World War or all of the other conflicts that Australia has been involved in. So I think that we need to send a very clear message, and from this moment on we'll be pushing government, we'll be pushing veterans groups, and we'll be talking to the soldiers themselves, because I think that there is something that Australians can do to make sure that the soldiers who have already come home from Iraq, but definitely the people who are coming home from Afghanistan, understand that we do not want to celebrate the political leaders who decided to send them off to war, but we are thankful for the risks that they have taken. Yes, part of their job, but a job that you and I don't want to do. And thankfully they wanted to do, which means they deserve our thanks. There should be at least one major welcome home parade for those who come back from Afghanistan. Now, I don't know if it's in December, January, February next year. I don't know if it's in June of next year, but this is the least that we can do. If we have ticker tape parades for Olympians in every single city after they come home from swimming, running and jumping, perhaps we could have a welcome home parade separate than your Anzac Day parade, separate than Remembrance Day services, a one-off moment where we can say thank you to the people who have done so much to represent our country and do so well in this theatre of war. The Australians have been involved very much at the pointy end of this war, and as best as we can, and if the soldiers want to, and if the men and women of the ADF want it, we should be there to cheer them on. We have parades for the AFL premiers. We have parades for horse races in the lead up to the Melbourne Cup. We have parades for Olympians regardless of whether they do well or poorly. Perhaps it is time for us to have a welcome home parade for people who truly you could refer to as heroes, truly rock-hard people who deserve their moment in the sun and deserve the same coverage that we give to people who are not even a skerrick on the character of those who fight for our country.